I'm John Jacob Mubarak, and we're going to just build a little traffic here. And we are here with Arielle Ford, and I am so honored to have Arielle here. And Arielle, I'm just going to keep talking for a minute until we get a little bit more traffic building up as people start.
Good. Why don't you let me talk for a minute then? So I want to know a bunch of stuff about you, like where were you raised?
Okay. Me, John Jacob. I was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona. My family are immigrants from Lebanon, and they immigrated. My grandparents immigrated in 1919 from Lebanon to the United States, and my family's been in Tucson, Arizona since 1918.
That's amazing. And have you ever been to Lebanon?
I have. I went to Lebanon in 2018, 100 years after my grandparents had left. I went to the hometown where all four of my grandparents are from, saw the family house, met all the family and cousins, and it was tremendous to be there.
Oh, how exciting. And how long have you been living in Costa Rica?
Well, I love this. You're turning the tables on me, Arielle.
Well, we have a little extra time, and I'm a nosy, curious person.
Beautiful. Well, people are streaming in. So I'll tell you this. I started working at Rhythmia 3 years ago, November of 2017. So this is my 3rd year anniversary month, and I've been living back and forth between LA and Costa Rica, and I think I'm getting ready to pull the plug and just move to Costa Rica.
And what do you like best about Costa Rica?
So in Costa Rica, there's one word. It's kind of like aloha in Hawaii, pura vida. And pura vida means hello, goodbye, how are you? I'm fine. All is well. You're awesome. Life is good. It means all of the above. And that's really the feeling here, this sense that life is good, and the abundance of the biodiversity, the people, the magnificence of the location. And I think, of course, being able to be at Rhythmia, where every week we get to watch an amazing transformation as people come and release that which is no longer serving them, see some aspect of themselves as a core trauma, release that trauma, merge back to a state of wholeness, heal their hearts, forgive the unforgivable, and then they think we did something. I mean, what a great gig,
I actually have a question. So and I'm going to put this in terms that make sense to me. So people come there to be purged and reborn, and maybe make peace with their dark side or let go of their dark side. And that energy, unseen as it may be, still exists. How does the staff of Rhythmia protect themselves from taking on what I'll just call negative energy?
Yes, beautiful question. Well, we do a lot of work ourselves, a lot of cleansing and purging as well. The grounds themselves, like the shamanic staff, literally goes through the resort regularly with blessings and kopal, and really, there is a lot of release that goes on here. But ultimately, I think all spiritual growth and development is the harmonization of those disparate parts. So it's not so much releasing the dark side, but harmonizing that which is already part of you, that there's not one part of us that doesn't deserve to be loved and appreciated.
Right. Yeah. So, my sister actually wrote several best-selling books on that. One was called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. So learning to love and embrace the shadow was certainly the essence of her work. But I guess my point was not that you're denying the dark side, but sometimes energetically, especially in a group setting where people are letting go of stuff, getting rid of the energy. And it sounds like your shamanic staff already has the tools in place to dispel the frequencies of that.
Yes. There are times, Arielle, where I have awoken after, and not gone to ceremony, but there's something really heavy that I feel, that I've picked up, and it's about self-care. I've got to do my practice, do my breath work, do my meditation, go to the beach, release it, observe, just like everything else. How am I feeling? What is coming up for me? Being with that feeling. And somehow in just the being with it, it tends to modulate. Okay, wait, you're so good. Man, you're good.
Oh, you froze.
Uh-oh.
There you are. Okay, you're back.
So I have to say, people have joining us, and for all of you joining us, Arielle and I were having a little conversation, and she, as a brilliant interviewer herself, turned the tables and started asking me questions. But I got to tell you about this amazing being that we have today. And Arielle asked me, the shorter the intro, the better. So here it is. What does it take to restore passion and commitment after the flames of love have gone cold? Oh, baby, the thrill is gone. Tell me. Arielle Ford has spent many years researching the secrets of lasting love. And today we're going to be discussing, among other things, her new book titled Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate. Welcome, Arielle. And tell us some of the myths that are surrounding the word soulmate and how we can get beyond them.
Sure. Well, I think I'll start with giving you my definition of a soulmate. So perfect. I believe that first and foremost is a soulmate is somebody you can completely be yourself with, somebody with whom you share unconditional love. And when you look into their eyes, you have the experience of being home. So if you accept that definition, the truth is all of us have many, many soulmates already, whether it's your kids, your parents, your friends, your siblings, your coworkers, your cats, your dogs, your pet iguanas, and singles run around the world bemoaning, oh my God, I'm so lonely, I'm all alone, I have no one to love me. When in fact, that's not true at all. The truth is they just aren't acknowledging all the abundance of love they already have with all the non-romantic soulmates in their life. So one of my missions is to remind people that love is not missing from your life. The only thing missing is your attention on the love that you already have.
Beautiful. Okay, so you can look into their eyes and feel at home. I want to get this. Look into their eyes and feel at home. What were the other two definitions of soulmate?
Share unconditional love.
Okay.
And be accepted, warts and all. So you can completely be yourself with them.
Which is unconditional love, right? Loving everything the person is or isn't. I love that. And I love that you're pointing to this fundamental truth that, if we're bemoaning that I don't have something, we're really sending out the feeling to the universe that we're lacking something.
Right. And it becomes impossible to get it because you're living in the energy of something's missing. And when you're living in the energy of something's missing, all you get to have is more of the feeling of missing.
Yes. And yet there is something like I am completely in alignment with you. I am so overjoyed by the love that surrounds me. When I think of the love that surrounds me, I feel the order of the highest heavens, really. And there's something different about that non-romantic love versus the romantic love. So how do you square the soulmate? Yes, I have a lot of love in my life, and I am wanting to experience intimacy in a different way.
Well, that's the whole thing with the law of attraction. It's such a paradox, because on the one hand, you have to have clarity about what it is that you want, and then you have to go into action, and then you have to surrender having it to the universe. So it's like, how is all that possible at the same time? And that's like trying to explain what the speed of balance is, So yes, you already have this abundance of love. And the reason I like to focus on that is so that your heart becomes magnetic to romantic love. So you're not looking for romantic love from a place of missing. But it does make perfect sense that I believe that human beings were designed to be in twos, and we can have the whole polyamory conversation some other time, but I really believe we're meant to be in twos, whether it's, man, man, female, female, or female, male, I don't care. It doesn't matter. But I believe we were meant to be in twos, and that it's a biological desire to have a life partner, so when you can focus on, well, listen, I have this great job at Rhythmia. I've got family, friends, and siblings, and cats and dogs and iguanas that love me. And I have this desire to have a life partner, a mate, and that it can all coexist in the same field. But if you're a single person, living in this desperation of I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too damaged, all the good ones are taken, it's never going to happen for me, I'm a loser when it comes to love. That's all you're ever going to have, because that's where your focus is.
And is it as simple as shifting that focus? What are the other components?
Well, that's a piece of it. So I believe there's a couple of major components. The first is clarity. What is it that you really deeply desire? What is it that your soul is most calling for? What are the heart traits and qualities of a mate that you most desire? So having clarity, placing your order, that's pretty exact. And
Yes.
then you also have to be in this surrendered state of being willing to accept and welcome it in without looking at your watch going, hey, you're late, you're really, really, really late, because there's a divine timing aspect to it. So you could be really clear about the kind of mate that you want. You could be healed from your past relationships, but it may be that the planets of love are not quite aligned. Or what could also be very likely is that the one that the God, universe, goddess, whoever is preparing for you isn't quite ready yet. They may be disentangling from a relationship or getting over something or moving on their way to Costa Rica. So it's your job to remain in the space of what I've asked for is already mine. And one of the things that I invented one day was a thing that I call love before first sight.
I love that.
Yes, and we can do a quick version of it right here if you want.
Sure.
So in quantum physics, there's a couple of understandings that most quantum people accept. The first one is that there is no time. All right, hang on. I thought I turned this off. Go away. Sorry.
It's a good ringtone, though.
Thank you. There's no time, okay? There's no past, there's no future, there's just this now moment. All right. And then the other one is that we all coexist in the field together. And in the field, we are already connected to everything and everybody. So the truth is, on the unseen plane, you are already connected to your beloved life partner soulmate. They are not missing. They're in the field. And so I've created this thing that I call a feelingization, which is different from a visualization, because a visualization is pretty pictures in your head. Oh, I really want a new royal blue convertible BMW, and I see myself driving down the 405 in it, and I feel the wood steering wheel, and I can smell the leather seats, and all of these are pretty pictures in your head, but you're never getting that BMW if your emotional body is saying, I can't afford it, I don't deserve it, it's never going to happen. And you know, that's why people say the secret didn't work. The law of attraction didn't work for me. I had the vision board, I had the pretty pictures, but I never got the BMW. Because true manifestation doesn't happen in your head. It happens in your heart. Okay, manifestation happens in your heart. So in a feelingization, I take people on a little guided tour. We drop from your head to your heart, and we go into a state known as heart coherence. I can't believe this is happening again. I'm going to turn this little sucker off. And we drop into our heart to go into heart coherence, which if you've studied the work of heart math, heart coherence is when you drop into the heart and your heart rhythm pattern actually changes. Your electromagnetic heart rhythm changes. And from this place of being in heart coherence, where we're actually having an experience of love or appreciation and gratitude, that's when we drop in our desires. That's where the true manifestation takes place. So on my website, I give you this feelingization for free. All you have to do, you just go to soulmatesecret.com, and there's a little tab called free stuff. Go into free stuff and you'll find feelingizations. Okay, and in the feelingizations is the golden cord feelingization. So you can meet your soulmate today. You do this 8-minute golden cord feelingization, and I'm going to take you to a place where your heart's going to be joined with your beloved's heart, and you're going to start the relationship today, and then you're going to keep it going. by talking to your soulmate through your golden cord connection every day.
Mm.
And it's really soothing and it's really affirming, because you get to see, like, yes, I don't know her name. I don't know his name. I don't know the exact day in the 3D world we're going to meet, but we're already connected.
Yes. You know, this is so in alignment with spiritual principle, obviously, that, you know, the universe doesn't hear us, it feels us. And this creating feelingization is such a beautiful way, and to create that heart space and to create that electromagnetic field, right? A new reality. Now, what I love even more about it is the daily practice, because I find myself kind of getting motivated and working on it, visualizing or thinking about, or I love the question, what would I love to experience, and really creating this feeling, but it's not an everyday practice. So that I love that you provide something that allows us to work with this golden cord of connection, this mystic cord of memory that connects us, and work with it daily. I'm thrilled.
And you can do with it, you can use this sort of process with anything. So if you're trying to create more abundance in your life, you can go to the field to where you already have more than you'll ever need, and start feeling what it feels like to be that abundance, or feeling what it feels like to have that dream job or your purpose in life. So that's what I really love about this work, is that it all already exists. It's just about tapping into it. And even though everything I'm saying you may have heard 1,000 times before, this stuff's really slippery. You have to remind, like, I've been studying this stuff since September 12th, 1984. Okay. Now I remember this date. You asked me earlier before we got online about what was a game changer for me.
Yes.
This September 12th, 1984 was the day my life went from black and white to full color.
Wow.
Because this is when I started learning these techniques for the first time, and seeing that I could co-create my future, as opposed to letting the winds of change or fortune decide what was going to happen to me. So I've been a student of this for, I don't know, 36 years now. I'm really bad at math, but whatever it is, I still study it every day, because even though I know it and I teach it, I can forget it as quickly as anybody else.
Amen. Amen. So, okay, so tell us about September 12th, 1984.
Well, I decided to leave my hometown of Miami and move to Los Angeles. And I'd been to LA once for like 2 hours. So I didn't know what I was doing. I had about $800 in my pocket, and I had no job to go to. And I only knew one person in LA. It was a friend of mine who was packing up to move to New York. So she said, well, you'll come and stay with me for 8 days, but then I'm leaving town. I don't know what you're going to do. So so on the airplane, it's like a 5.5 hour flight, I read this book called Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain. And this was the book that changed my life. And I still think it's mistitled, because it's not about the visualizing, it's about the feeling. But that's what I learned. So when I landed in LA, I needed to do 3 things right away. I had to find a job, I had to find a place to live, and I needed to find a new friend, because my one and only was about to leave. And without taking up all the time, within 8 days, I had a job, an apartment, and a new friend. And that was the start of my new life.
Wow. Wow. And I love the way you said it. My life went from black and white to full color. And so there was an opening in that moment for you.
It was magnificent, because I was terrified. I was 30 years old, and I'm going to a new place. I don't know anything about LA. I didn't even know what kind of job I wanted. All I knew was how I wanted to feel in the job. So twice a day, I would do this feelingization for myself and imagine what it would feel like to go to an office every day where the people were happy to see me, where they were friendly, where I was paid well, and my talents could be appreciated and utilized. So I put myself into that feeling space, because I didn't have the title for what that job was. I didn't know what that was. And
I
yet that's
love,
exactly what I created.
and you were working with not only the feelings but the qualities, right? The qualities of
Yes.
what you wanted to experience, which, so often, I mean, I'd love to know your opinion about this, because we see, so many people have such a clear, like you said, put in your order, right? When you're talking about the feelingization, right? You want clarity around that. We do want clarity. And yet in this work, there needs to be room for spirit to bring us something greater than we could imagine. And
Yes.
so that's what I love about the qualities of it, because it's not like he's 5'10" and X, the specific, but the qualities of who and what I'd like. It might
Right.
be,
You want
yeah,
somebody who's kind, loving, generous, compassionate, empathetic, funny, fun, those sorts of things, as opposed to height, weight, color, hair, or no hair, or whatever it is.
yes. Okay. So part of the manifesting the soulmate is this work of feelingization. And now after you have really manifested your soulmate, and you wrote the book Manifesting Your Soulmate, and now you've written the Soulmate Secret. And after that, you've written Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate. So we've talked about the definition of soulmate, but what are some of the most important things that about men women need to know, and about women that men need to know, or about men that men need to know?
Well, let me just start by saying that when I manifested my soulmate 23 years ago, I did it just for me. I didn't do it with the intention of, oh, someday I'm going to write a best-selling book and I'm going to teach workshops and I'm going to be this expert on finding your soulmate. That was not the game plan whatsoever. There's a whole other hour about how that came to be. But once I did manifest my soulmate and we got married, I was a very late bride. I was a first-time bride at 45. I quickly discovered something really horrifying, which was this. I had zero partnership skills.
Yes.
No partnership skills whatsoever. And the thing that I was best at was being the boss. I ran a business. I was really good at being the boss, which I found out when you marry an alpha male, being the boss doesn't work.
Not such a good idea.
Oh, it's a really, really bad idea. And of course, I'm a very logic-based person, and I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I became a student of love. And I decided, here I worked so hard. I mean, I spent more than a year, like prayers, processes, meditations, feelingizations, whatever. Got the soulmate, and I'm about to blow it. What do I do? So I ended up years later writing Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate, but it's the book I wish I'd been given before I got married. So here's the thing to know. Men and women are totally different in the way they think and respond, and women don't know that about men, and vice versa. I mean, we have this idea they're different, but we don't know how to navigate the differences. So I'll just give you one example. Back in those days, I had a big PR firm in Beverly Hills, and I was doing book publicity for people you may have heard of. Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, Don Miguel Ruiz, Neil Donald Walsh, Gary Zukav, blah, 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 blah.
I don't know any of those people. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Right? But I mean, that's what I did.
Big people.
And I had a very exciting and interesting job. So then I meet my soulmate, we get married, and we decide to start a business together, a literary agency, which of course goes along with my book publicity firm. And I don't remember how long into the marriage it happened, but I came home from work one day and I said to Brian, oh, I've got some interesting news. We're going to have dinner with Deepak and Rita tonight. And he gives me this look I've never seen before. And it's like, well, don't you want to go? And he goes, yeah, I want to go. I said, well, what's that look for? What's the problem? He goes, well, you didn't ask me. And I said, well, that's because I knew you'd want to go. He goes, yes, but you didn't ask me. And I was like, well, I don't understand. He said, the respectful thing to do is to ask me, not just make assumptions about what I want to do. And I'm like, but I knew you'd want to go. And it was just because I didn't understand that the one thing men want more than sex is respect. I didn't know that. I didn't know how important, and I didn't know that I was being disrespectful on top of it. I was just being me, making decisions. That's what I do all day long. And I never had this other person who I had to work into the math of the whole thing. Well, I wonder what he wants to do. It took me years to figure out how to do this right. So Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate was essentially written for women on how to stop all the negative thinking and belief systems you have about the person you once considered your soulmate, and to reignite and re-spark your relationship. Because chances are 95% there's a chance you can reignite the relationship. You're just making them wrong for all the wrong reasons. And I'll give you a couple examples of this. So there's this brilliant guy at the University of Washington named Dr. John Gottman. He is the world's leading expert on marriages. He is, I worship at the temple of John Gottman and Harville Hendricks. They're like my two gurus. So Gottman, in his brilliance and research, found that every single couple, not just some, every single couple has a minimum of 9 irreconcilable differences. These are things you're never, ever, ever going to agree on. So it's stuff like money. You have a spender and a saver. Sex. One wants it twice a day. One wants it once a month. One wants it hot. One wants it cold. One's always on time. The other one's always late. And I could go on and on. But what happens is nobody's ever told us that this is normal. We fall in love with somebody, we get married, or we live with them, and suddenly we discover all these differences, and we start thinking, oh, ooh. And one foot goes out the door, and sometimes 2 feet go out the door, and you just think, I guess we're not meant to be. I guess this isn't my soulmate, which couldn't be further from the truth. This is what's normal, but we don't know it's normal. Leaving is not normal. And when I was talking to Harville Hendricks about this one day, he said to me, I said, well, Harville, what's the solution when you have all these differences? And he said to me, the solution is coming up with a creative solution. That's like, I don't get it. He goes, let me give you an example. He said, my favorite thing to do when I wake up in the morning is to get behind the wheel of a vehicle and drive for 9 hours. He said, however, my wife, Helen, her favorite thing to do is to sit in the living room and embroider or knit. And if she has to leave the house, she wants to know for how long and when she can get back to her needlepoint. And I said, well, clearly there's no creative solution for that. And he said, oh, yes, we bought an RV. I'm always driving. She's always home. So it requires work and creativity. The other thing that really helps with this is this thing that I made up years ago called wabi-sabi love. Now, This is different from wasabi, which is something you put on sushi. Wabi-sabi love. So let's pretend for a moment that this is an ancient, priceless Ming vase. Okay. And there's a long, crooked crack down the center of this ancient, priceless Ming vase. The Japanese would take this broken vase and they would place it on a pedestal and they would shine a spotlight on the crack, because wabi-sabi is about seeking beauty and perfection in imperfection. Beauty and perfection in imperfection. So they actually honor the crack in the broken vase. So in wabi-sabi love, we seek to honor our own cracks, of which we all have many, and the cracks of our partner. And you can use it for almost anything. There's 3 places in your relationship where wabi-sabi love never works. One is bad behavior. The other is active addiction or abuse. If you have any of those 3 going on in your relationship, don't listen to me. Get somebody with a PhD or an MD and get professional help. But for every other thing that drives you crazy, you can fix it. And I'm going to give you some examples how. I'll tell you the story of my friends Jerry and Diane. So Jerry's a psychiatrist and Diane's a psychologist, and they married later in life. And in fact, Jerry is 25 years older than Diane. And after they got married, Diane discovered that Jerry has an addiction. Jerry is addicted to poppy seed bagels. And every single morning, Jerry gets up before Diane. He goes into the kitchen and he slices a poppy seed bagel. And as he's slicing it, hundreds of little black seeds fall onto Diane's white tile floor. And then he toasts the bagel. And then out of the toaster, he puts a smear of cream cheese on it. And then he walks around the kitchen eating his poppy seed bagel, dropping even more little black seeds on Diane's white tile floor. Then about an hour later, Diane gets up, and every morning she has the same routine. She wets a paper towel, she gets on her hands and knees, and she wipes up the little black seeds. Because as you can imagine, you cannot sweep little seeds because they just go flying. Now, this is
Right.
going on for years, and it's the same thing every morning. And most mornings, it's not a problem. Diane understands because of the age difference, Jerry can't get on the floor himself. But one morning, while she's wiping up the seeds, she's just in a terrible mood. She's really grouchy. And she has this thought, I wonder what it would take to never have to do this again. And that's followed by the thought, oh, that would mean Jerry's no longer with me. And she started to cry. And from that day forward, every morning as she's wiping up the seeds, her heart fills with love because the seeds now mean she has another day to spend with Jerry.
Hmm.
So that's what Wabi Sabi love is. And what I love about it is Jerry never changed. They never sat down and Diane said, oh, we've got to talk. This has got to change or I'm out of here. That never happened. The only thing that happened was Diane had a shift in perception. And just as a little fun add-on to this, Jerry is today 95 years old. He's 100% blind, and he's still eating his poppy seed bagels every day.
Making a little bit more of a mess than he did before, I'm sure.
Probably the same amount of mess.
What a beautiful.
Yeah. So wabi sabi love. That's the answer.
You know, I have a client that they're in the 20th year of their marriage. It's really perfect. I was excited to talk to you about this. Very similar. 20 years of marriage, and she was ready to walk out the door. Same list of incompatibilities, right? Those 9 things. You know, he's never completes anything. He gets something 90% done, can't quite finish it, doesn't understand that she's working with the kids and homeschooling and doing this, and their different parenting styles, all of these things. And she had come to me and said, I think I need to work with a female practitioner because I don't think you understand me. And I said, oh, okay, well, tell me why. And she said, well, because you don't understand that he's wrong, basically is what she said. You don't understand, he's wrong. She needed some female reinforcement. And I, said, absolutely, I want you to go. I just let it go. The next week she came back and something shifted in her relationship, and it had nothing to do with him. But we had been working for months on just holding the truth and seeing the wholeness in each other, moving beyond her current formation, moving beyond even when she didn't feel like being loving, to be loving in a different way, showing love and expressing love without the expectation of a return as an experiment. And something thawed in their relationship, and and then she came back to me during all these processes that we did. She came back and said, I now see that the whole time it was the way I was looking at it. Exactly as you said, Arielle, a shift in perspectives changed the way she was seeing her husband, which allowed him to open up to her, because all communication was shut down in that accusatory and positioning, strategizing kind of mode of navigating relationships that tend to happen. So here I'm doing a lot of the talking, and I want to ask you more questions, not me. You know what I do want to know, though? Well, first of all, you said your book was written for women about men, but really we're talking about not so much biology, or are we? I mean, isn't it?
Yes, there's definitely biology involved with it. So for instance, women can talk to each other in lots of different ways without insulting or pissing each other off, but men, the tone of voice a woman uses with a man is like 90% of the battle. You can ask for almost anything if you're doing it from a loving, kind, sweet, not screaming, screeching tone of voice, and most women don't know that. They've tried bitching, moaning, screaming, complaining, nudging, for 20 years and nothing changes and they don't understand why, as opposed to really understanding if, you know, if she wanted help with the kids, you know, the way to begin with is to first notice what he's doing right with the kids. You know, it's like, oh God, you're just the greatest father ever. I saw you helping little Johnny with his math homework at lunch today. I'm so proud to be married to you. Kiss him on the cheek, walk away. You know, start to build a little rapport that way. And then the next time you know, next time he takes the garbage out after you didn't have to bug him so much, give him a big hug and whisper in his ear, oh my God, you're my hero because you took the smelly trash out. I don't have to get my hands dirty. I love you, and walk away. And really, that's how you sort of build rapport. And then when you actually need something done, you could just say, listen, I know how much you do to help all of us, and I'm so grateful. And here's the thing that I'm really struggling with. Do you think you can help me come up with a solution? As opposed to, you've got to do this and I always do that, which never works. So I was just going to say, and turn your mate into your soulmate, I actually give you scripts on how to have these kinds of conversations.
Beautiful. And this is really what you mean by seeing your mate through rosy colored glasses, I'm assuming.
Yes, let's talk about rose colored glasses. This is everything. Okay, so I'm going to show you mine. These are mine. If you don't have a pair, go to Amazon. They're like $12.
They look good on you.
Thank you. Thank you. So there was a study done at the University of Buffalo many years ago, and they were looking at couples who consciously choose to wear rose-colored glasses. Mm-hmm. And what they found was that these couples have longer, happier, more satisfying marriages. And the reason they do is because they're always looking for what's right instead of looking for what's wrong. That makes all the difference in the world. Not to say that they didn't have as many, you know, non-negotiable things that we talked about. They had all of those, but they look for what's right. And so we should do this with all of our relationships. You know, it's really easy to find fault, and women are particularly good at it. We're like heat-seeking missiles when it comes to what's wrong or what's out of place. But you have to train yourself to become aware, to look for what's right. And Dr. John Gottman recommends that if you really want to have a long-term healthy marriage, that each of you give the other 5 acknowledgments or affirmations at the end of the day. And if you're going to do that, your shift of awareness totally changes. You know, if you know at the end of the day, you got to tell John Jacob what a hunk he is and how brilliant he is, you got to be looking to, you know, say, hey, I noticed you did that, and thank you for doing that, and aren't you amazing at that? That requires a different mindset.
Do you get a lot of yeah buts from your clients? They're like, yeah, but there are these things that I need to address. There are some things that happen that I really don't sit well with me.
Yes, and there's a way to have those conversations that really work. So you don't respond and react in the moment. You know, like I'll give you an example. So let's say that you've got a hot date and you go to a party and you happen to run into Brian and I. So the 4 of us are at this party and we're talking, we're having fun. And then Brian suddenly says something that totally, I'm appalled by what he said. And I have a couple of options. I could rip him a new one right then and there, or I could wait till we get in the car to go home at midnight when we're both really tired. Or I could keep my mouth shut and go to bed angry, which I highly recommend. Going to bed angry is not a bad thing. And then in the morning, what I would do is I'd say to him, hey, honey, you know what? I've got a problem I really need your help with. Do you have 10 minutes sometime today to talk to me about it? And he would say, oh, yeah, let's just talk about it now. It's like, no, you got to go to work. I got to go to work. What's a good time? When do you have 10 minutes? So he says, oh, well, why don't we go for a little walk at 4 o'clock? Great. We go for a walk. And on the walk, I say to him, you know what, Bri, I know how much you love me. And I know that you would never purposely do anything to hurt me. And last night when we were with John Jacob and you said ABC, I really felt XYZ. And I shut up. Not another word comes out of my mouth. And what do you think he's going to say, right? He's going to say, oh my God, that's not what I meant, or I'm so sorry, or I'll never do that again, and it was such a stupid thing to do. and then we move on. I don't bring up anything else from the past. I just say, thank you. I kind of assumed that that wasn't what you meant, but I had to tell you, and you move on. That's how you have a serious conversation. You let them decide the time. You tell them how long. 10 minutes is pretty a good thing. And then you only do one item at a time. You don't like let it rip with the 17 other things. Because if you've let 17 other things boil up, you know, then you're going to need 17 10-minute walks. You know?
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. I love it. Just such wonderful, practical, clear, spiritually based, principled insights around relationships, communication, creating love, maintaining love, reinventing love. I just love the conversation. I can't believe that we're over time. But
Oh my
before you
God.
go,
Yeah.
I always do like to ask, you know, if you were in my shoes and there was a question, you know, that I didn't ask, what would be the question that you would like me to ask you?
Oh, I don't know. I can't. Well, you said something before we went live that I wanted to address, something about being tired of all the apps and everything.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's me. That's like, I'm so over the apps. I'm so
Okay.
over
All right. So
that. Yes.
here's what I want to tell you is, like, a lot of people believe that dating online doesn't work because they've had bad experiences. And my response to that is that you just don't know how to do it in a way that will work for you. So I've written this free online dating guide. It's only 9 pages long, but it's free at my website. If you go to soulmatesecret.com, it's a pop-up. You can't search for it. It just pops up, free online dating guide. And in it, I'll tell you everything you need to know to make the dating apps work for you. Because right now, I don't know what COVID's like in Costa Rica, but for the rest of the world that's on lockdown, this is pretty much your only option. And it's a really good option because you can sort through people faster. And it's just like one-click shopping on Amazon, except Amazon won't deliver soulmate, but a dating app could. So I want to encourage people not to give up.
Excellent. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to go online and check out the guide.
Okay.
And I am so grateful for the generosity of your time. I'm grateful for your yes and your willingness to life and to this work, because you've provided over so many years, not so many, I don't mean to say it like that, but you know, the deep work that you've done.
Thank you.
And it's making a difference as a beneficial presence on the planet. Thank you, Arielle Ford. I look forward to seeing you again, and for the next time we meet. Many blessings. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.